Live on a Friday edition of the program, Merely Bo. The Great C is here, and look at the goat. Look at the goat on the chest.
Oh, baby.
Naval Academy, the midshipmen.
Hey, we had some real luminaries in the house today. I don't know if you noticed on the former Secretary of the Navy's polo. Did you notice the logo that he had there?
So that is a logo that every year when they play the Army-Navy game, the Naval Academy and West Point, they come up with new uniforms specific for that game. And the Naval Academy's had some of the awesomest. They're just awesome.
It's
it looks
the
great.
N with the snake.
With the
Don't
snake.
tread on me.
Don't tread on me. So they've done that one. They've done a Blue Angels one. They've won a Deep Blue Sea one. I've got a Blue Angels hoodie from it that's really, really slick. They did a Deep Blue Sea one with the subgroup. They did fighter pilot helmets. It's awesome. So they work with Under Armour, and then West Point works with Nike. And it's really one of my favorite uniform reveals every week. So as soon as I saw the great man and I saw the polo, I knew exactly what it was from.
Of course you
did.
did.
That's right.
Of course
How you been?
I'm good. By the way, speaking of polos.
Yeah. Any luck?
Well, I was waiting for your information.
So there's nothing on the label. Did we talk about this on the air?
No.
Okay. There's nothing on the label.
I'm looking for some good, solid color, tight-fitting, tight-sleeved anyway.
My contention is that your current build, they all will be tight-sleeved.
I don't like places that have a loose sleeve. I can't.
I don't even know if that. I think that's more of like a golf polo. I think any real polo from like any sort of designer is going to be
tight cap,
snug.
Perfect.
I think you're going to have that.
Okay.
So I found this particular man on a horse clad brand, and one that was very popular in our youth, and certainly in college. You had to go to the stores and get them. Has maybe not quite as much anymore, but I'm a traditionalist. I think it's timeless. So anyway, I went and found this polo for you, and
thank you.
There wasn't anything on the label
that told you what it was
to lead me to believe what it was, other than it was a green label.
Okay.
So that's different than the rest of their run. Usually it's a navy label on their stuff.
All right.
But in this, it was a green label. So I don't know if there was a green. I want to say the label was green and purple. Is what I think it was. But it was all black. It's everything you want. It's a soft fabric. It would to be worn untucked, but it's not long. Like it cuts basically right at the waist the way you want. It's got a cap on the sleeves the way you want.
Yeah.
It's what you want, for sure.
Okay.
We just have to figure out where we can get it. It was a green label. A green label.
I'm going to write that down.
There you go.
Yep.
Write that down.
Yep.
So we had a couple of preseason games last night. Yeah. Let's do a little conversation on something. When you have a good team, and I know you're going to broadcast the game and I'm going to watch it, and I know our audience is going to watch it, I don't care about this. I'm going to watch. It's a game. I understand. It's a Friday game day. You're calling it. I'm watching it. I'm DVRing it. The kids are going to watch it. I know you can't comment because of you're going to be involved, but let's just get to the games that matter.
Well, yeah, of course. Everybody
right?
wants to get to
and
games
so
that
it's
matter.
hard to I'm not interested in what happened last night. Drake May played
a second.
2-3 snaps, whatever.
Milton was the most exciting thing there. By the way, you can consume the out-of-town preseason games in 90 seconds of highlights.
Yeah, you can.
And most of the players you're never going to see again.
Yeah.
DPJ had a nice catch. I saw that. A nice 26-yarder. So I was happy for him. But, no, you're not getting much. I mean, I think the third preseason game is the one that now all the teams are kind of, if they are going to play anybody, that's the game they typically play them in. So maybe there'll be something interesting there. But
I just hold on for that just a second. I don't care about seeing Patrick Mahomes play in this.
No,
I don't.
They don't matter.
I don't want
to
see Miles play now. I don't want to see Miles play in Seattle.
There's a reason that they're going to go to 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games because let's play football.
What are we doing?
Let's play football.
You got plenty of time. You know what somebody dropped on me the other this was last week that you and I have not talked about? His prediction was that the NFL would get almost like it eventually would evolve to the point where it was almost like European football, to where it's basically on year round, and that the NFL season, instead of being 18 games, will eventually go to like 32, and it'll go from August to May. And then it'll be the off season, because that's how European football is. European football is that way. It starts now. The Champions League final is in June.
Right. Yeah. No.
Can you say emphatically, or just seems so awkward that your reaction is to say no?
No, people can't play. You can't play football that long.
Well, if you build in breaks. So, for example, in the European football break, they're off basically 2 weeks before Christmas to 2 weeks after January. You get like a 3-4 week stretch where you don't play. Like in Germany, they're off for a whole month where they can rest. It's just a longer plan of it. And you would rest in season.
I don't think
I don't know. If you're the NFL and you think like you never have to go away, like you can play games all the time.
They don't have to go away now. They have tentpole events
but they don't
all year round.
In our world they do, but they don't really. They don't really. Like they're not – games are tentpole events. The games stop in February.
The NFL draft draws viewers.
Of course it does. Yeah, but it's not Sunday Night Football.
No.
Right?
No.
So like if you could have Sunday Night Football if your television partners say, "Hey, we'd really like Sunday Night Football 36 weeks out of the year."
One of the things that's great about football is that teams are in it, for the most part, you're in it for a while. Can you imagine an NFL franchise where you're out of it in 2 months and then you have 6 more months of the season? I mean,
well, you wouldn't be out of it because you'd play so many more games. The threshold for out of it, and then you could just extend the playoffs.
In football, European football, soccer, first of all, they have these great clubs have 2 sides basically.
Yeah,
and they play.
You can't use that as the example other than the calendar because they don't care. They're in the English Premier League. There are 14 or 15 teams that have no chance. They go into the season knowing that, and they don't care. They still support them. So that's where it differs. But if you could stretch it out, I just think about what they're doing in college football. Like if you'd have told me 20 years ago that they're going to go to what amounts to a 13-game regular season and potential to play up to 17 games in Division I and a playoff that's going to go into December, I would have said, what are you talking about? Like the Bowls aren't going to allow that. You can't have kids playing 17 games in a season.
Well, you're going to have
on a scholarship number of 85.
Pretty soon you're going to have 22 potential NFL games for a team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
which
where
also seemed impossible when we were. If you would have asked you and I this 15 years ago and said, "You think we're going to be on an 18-game regular season and talking about possibly playing 22 NFL games?"
No,
you're not that far away.
22 that's almost half the year.
Yeah, it's a lot.
26 weeks would be half the year.
Yeah. It's a lot of ball.
Yeah, I think it's hard enough. Look, we haven't even done anything yet, and we have half of our starting lineup unavailable.
Yeah, there's no question. I don't even like 17. I don't like 18. I like 16.
16 was great.
That's the number. That was the sweet spot, and I don't think it was just because we're used to it.
18 with 2 byes where you break it up into 3 6-game tranches.
That I love. I love we get tranches.
We need to have right now we're tranchless.
We're tranchless. We might as well be rudderless.
Feels that way.
When you're talking about a lack of tranche, that breaks my heart because I want that. I want the tranche.
I'm pro tranche.
What I don't like about 18 is it just first of all
records and yards, thousands and 4,000
like
toast.
None of that matters. It'll
toast.
be 6,000 yards. It'll be all of that. And when you change that, it changes the game. Like
context.
every how do you? It's so critical, I think, in our country especially, and it could be the era you and I grew up in, where like the baseball records were so revered, and now they're not. Right? Nobody cares. I had forgotten that Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs a couple of years ago.
Come again?
Yeah, right. So, but the standard of games played matters to me. It does.
Even though it did go from 12 to 14 to 16, and now it'll go to 18. 16 was the standard of our lives.
Yes.
And so the numbers 4,000, 1,000. We really have moved off of those, even though we added a game.
Rusher, all that.
Well,
stuff.
Yeah, which is
so
that's
rare.
rarefied air. Yeah, I'm with you. You just have to forget about those things ultimately and just enjoy the product. I do think if you got to, like I said, 18 games with 2 byes, I think that's a nice season, and I think they can do they can stagger it so that teams are all basically playing. Nobody's playing more than 7 games in a tranche.
Yeah.
So you could go 7, 6-5, but you could go. Some teams will go 6-6-6, but they would never go more than 7. And I think you could do that, and I think coaches would like that. It breaks the season up, gives you another week to really heal, and then you add in a Thursday night here or there, and you really got kind of like 3, breaks in the season, which would be very, very nice.
Yeah, the breaks would be nice. The even amount of games would be nice.
Even is also good because
playing the Super Bowl on President's Day Sunday, leading into President's Day.
Yeah.
Very nice. All of those things work out, and you're going to get there sooner than later, I think, probably.
Yeah, very soon. By the way, we signed a new player. Did you know that?
Go ahead.
Rex Sunahara.
Rex Sunahara. Is that the guy who got in trouble with Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction?
It sounds like it could be, but he's
that
from
Tony
Bay Village.
Rakahara? That was Tony Rakahara.
Tony Rakahara.
Yeah.
He's from Bay Village.
How about that?
Long snapper from Bay Village.
Let's
Played
go.
football at Rhode Island, walked onto the basketball team.
The Rams.
The Rams. After his first year, he decided to transfer to West Virginia, walk on there. He did just that. Long snapper. And here we are. Spent time with the Miami Dolphins in 2020, the Steelers
Did we
in 2021.
need a long snapper?
So that makes
Where's
me wonder. That makes me wonder if, maybe Charlie got banged up because
How? All he does is snap the ball to the
and sit on a
sits on the
Vizio ball.
the Vizio ball and goes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't have that.
But it feels to me like you
Right,
wouldn't have
like you
signed
wouldn't.
him unless there were some need for it. Maybe he's got a little long snapper elbow.
Do you think the long snapper position is the it's kind of like don't let anyone else prove that they can do it?
Yes.
That's what I think too.
Yes.
Like once you have one of those jobs, you show up no matter what.
So Charlie always
shows up because it's a great gig.
Pretty sure he's the second longest tenured Brown behind Bitonio.
Yeah. So you show up and you do the job and that's the work and here you go and so forth. But by God, you better show up all the time because
Yeah.
there's a lot of long snappers out there.
There are and there probably aren't.
Well, every team that plays football has one.
Right.
How many times when you think just watching on a college football Saturday, let's say, because that's where you're picking from, how many times have you seen a bad snap?
Not many.
It's not much. It's like twice a Saturday, maybe.
I can tell you I did see, though, in one of the great live events I was at, sorry for the people around me, I was at the Big House for Michigan State, and all Michigan had to do was punt the ball. And there was not a great snap.
Yeah.
And they lost in stunning fashion.
Stunning fashion, yeah. And then Harbaugh said, actually, you know what? I think we're just going to go to the line and a little past it to make sure we don't lose these games anymore. And then they did. And then they won them all. That's the way it worked. Did you read the quote? It's an unbelievable quote.
From Harbaugh?
Well, his quote's unbelievable. He's basically, it's not a lie if you believe it. But the testimony and the quotes from the people in the program saying what Harbaugh told them to do.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like, yeah, it didn't happen. We never did any of it.
Here's the thing.
What a legend.
Here's the thing.
I love it. His agent's line was unbelievable.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Perfect.
I'm not worried about this at all. You guys are a bunch of clowns.
Yeah, perfect.
The Buckeyes just needed to win the game when it was all on the up and up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because there is no, they will never, from their end, they're never going to get their pound of flesh on it. There's no, what are you going to say? Oh, yeah, well, you cheated. Yeah, well, and?
In the words of the late, great Eddie Guerrero, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's right. My guess is the kid doesn't care. What's he care?
Oh.
Won a chipper, hanging a banner.
And won the chipper when all of this was over.
Yeah,
you beat the Buckeyes for the third straight time, and then
the timing of it is remarkable. That it happened. They knew it's happened. They suspended Harbaugh for 8 games, and it just so happened it coincided with his best team because Jim Harbaugh was trying to leave Michigan from the COVID year in 2020 when they say, we're not going to play the Buckeyes in 20. We got a little outbreak. We're not going to play them. And then in 21, 22, 23, win. After every one of those, he was trying like hell to get out. Interviewing with Kwesi in Minnesota, like dying to get out. Like, I won. Let me get out of this. And then it coincided with him finally getting like pinched. Their best team that they've had since 97 because they're loaded. They were loaded. They had all those kids drafted. McCarthy's a stud. Their draft next year's good. Their defensive line, they could have 4 first-round picks on their defense. So they're still really, really talented. So the timing of it all just worked perfectly for him. In the meantime, he took the Bellagio, the Mirage, and the MGM Grand all in the same night and got to leave with Julia Roberts.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, works.
Ocean's Harbaugh.
That's right. What are you looking for tomorrow?
It's kind of like a movie.
It's
honestly.
Ocean's 11.
It is kind of like a movie.
If he were likable, it's Ocean's 11. That's it.
If he were likable, yeah.
He does not have the charm of George Clooney.
No, he does not.
You got a preseason game tomorrow.
I do, and you're going to watch, and it's going to be fun.
I'm locked.
First of all,
I will watch.
Chris and I are going to make it entertaining anyway.
That's what I said to you guys when we were talking yesterday, because in a preseason game, and unlike on the radio, how many TV games have you done?
That would be 0.
Oh, this is one.
This is one.
How about that?
Well.
Hey,
come on.
Yeah, thumbs up. All right.
Real quick.
You're going to have a ball.
Oh, real quick before we go on,
Yeah.
because it just made me think of that, because people are loving Hey, come on. Hey,
come on.
Come on.
Come on, hey.
There had to be a Serbian Jim Donovan yesterday doing that to Bogdanovic when he poked the bear doing the Carmelo thing, and it clearly incensed Carmelo and then clearly incensed his good friend LeBron James.
Yeah.
There had to be a Serbian Jim Donovan saying,
hey,
Bogan, hey, come on. Hey.
We'll get to that in a second. You guys are going to have a ball.
Yeah.
So in your radio, which you're very familiar with, that is the play-by-play man's home. That's his world because he's got to tell you everything. What's happening? There's in TV, brother. You're breathing.
Well, they can see it.
You're breathing.
Turns out,
they
see it too.
Yeah. So you're breathing. I think you guys are gonna have a ball.
Yeah,
I did
I'm
not
excited
know that
about
you
it.
had never called a game on TV before.
No. I've been very fortunate. I've made my football broadcasting debut in the NFL.
Yeah.
Browns, Vikings in London, England.
Yep.
I made my wrestling debut against Jeff Jarrett, and now I'll make my football TV debut in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns.
With the great Chris Rose.
You guys
and
again,
fun.
just so everybody knows, this needs to be abundantly clear. The Hoff's it's the Hoff's European vacation. Otherwise, the Hoff would be doing it, and I would be doing the radio. Bo.
Are you sure he's coming back?
Ever?
Yeah.
I think so. We talk on the reg. I still send him pictures of my meals. That's my number one enticement.
To lure him back his meals?
When and Miss Kay said she thought it was the best meal of the summer. I made a sous vide duck breast with a raspberry chipotle sauce.
Okay.
Store-bought the sauce. I will be transparent there.
I'm not mad
with
at
some great Brussels with some prosciutto and garlic and shallots, and then and I actually cooked the Brussels in the duck fat that was left from searing the skin.
That's a win.
Big time. Big win. And then some delicious, red skin potatoes with garlic and rosemary, and wash it down with a nice 2017 Pesach Leonian, and it was delightful.
On. Let's go.
Yeah. How about it? Hey, come on. Hey, come on.
I can't help it.
I can't wait to see it.
I can picture him perfectly. I hope he'll recreate it for me.
Oh, man.
I
hope
want to ask
so.
him to because I just think it's the best.
Hey.
Like him at the Greenbrier.
Come on.
Like he's standing as he's doing this.
No, he's sitting in a chair.
He's sitting in a chair.
So we're in a
I picture him like standing.
We're basically in like a U-shaped situation. So there's two bright baby blue recliners.
Yeah.
Then you got like a green striped sofa across from those two, and then at the head we moved a couple chairs, and so we're basically in like a U shape. And so he was going from sofa to the couch. He was he's sitting there and he's like, hey, come on. Just sitting back, leaning back.
Oh, so good. So good. The good news is we got 30 days until week 1 kicks, so that's really positive. That'll be here in a month. That's fun. You got the Packers here at Cleveland Browns Stadium, 4:25 tomorrow. What matchups are you most looking forward to tomorrow, Dr. Z?
Well, Bo, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
I really think, and this could just be, I'm around the Browns, and so it feels – I think we have the best, and just looking at the names in the box scores yesterday of people that I've never heard of before – for quarterback, I think we have the 4 best quarterbacks, 1 through 4 of any team in the NFL.
Well, your 4th is a Pro Bowler.
Yes.
So I think you're probably right.
That makes me think when you have at least people who have played in the NFL before and have had some success, they've all, every quarterback on our roster has won a game in the NFL. 3 of them are Pro Bowlers. That we're going to be able to throw the ball and at least play a somewhat interesting brand of preseason football. And I like our receiver depth too. So I'm excited to see our quarterbacks throw. I'm excited. Jameis, DTR, who's had a great camp. Huntley, they love Huntley here. And he's going to be throwing the ball to Tillman and Woods and Darden and David Bell and Thrash and Landers and Amari and Brown. I mean, I think that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to see. So I'm excited for that. Something I'll be watching with maybe more of a critical eye on offense is our left tackle. Whether that's Hudson, and then in the second group, I'll be watching left and right because you got Hakeem Adeniji and Jermaine Ifedi. I'll be watching both of those guys. And then you got some rookies. We got one guy that I'm really curious to see in a game, Roy Mbedeka, who's 6'8", 330. So we have 2 6'8" tackles on our roster. I don't know how many teams have that. He's from the International Pathways program, and a guy never played football at any point in his career.
Yeah.
Not high school, college, nothing. Let's see what we got
Well,
there.
how about him?
How about it? So I'll be curious to see that. And then defensively, I'm really excited to see Mike Hall Jr., especially the way people are talking about him. You know, the fact of the matter is, even without our starting 4 defensive ends, and I would not expect to see any of them, Dalvin certainly not, Shelby's been banged up, Miles or Zadarius. Alex Wright, Obo Okoronkwo, Quentin Jefferson, Mo Hurst is a starting defensive line in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's great depth.
So I'm excited for those guys. I'm excited to see Devin Bush, Mahmoud Diabate, and Buki Watson. I think that they're going to be fun at linebacker. And then we've got, some real battles going on in the cornerback room because there are too many guys. Denzel, Greg, MJ, Cam Mitchell, all going to make this football team. Then you got Tony Brown, who is not only a good corner, but is a great special teams player. Justin Hardy, who's not really a corner, but has been a Pro Bowl special teams player and a 3-time special teams captain for the New York Jets, who's also, by the way, from Cleveland, went to Glenville and has been wanting to be a Cleveland Brown his entire life. Then you drafted Miles Harden, and you got Khalif Halassi, who was 6'1" and is a good man corner, was on your 53 the entire year last year. So that's 8. That's 8. There can only be 6.
Yep.
At the maximum. So I'm interested to see some of that as well.
We going to get a good day weather-wise? Going to get a nice day?
I think so. I think so. And I'm also excited to see Landon Honeycutt because I didn't even know Mars Hill existed, and now to see somebody who played there and is the fourth guy from that school in the NFL, I'm excited to see him as well.
The first part you talked about is important for those of you going to the game. People like me who are going to be watching it because when you talk about the quarterbacks, what that means is you're going to get competent football for 4 quarters.
Yes,
and that's what the translation of that is.
That's what I mean.
Is that for 4 quarters, you're going to be able to get in and out of operation. You're going to be able to throw the ball better than anybody else is in the third and fourth quarters of preseason NFL football because you have a bunch of guys who have won games in the NFL who are going to be playing. Jameis is going to give way. We don't know if it's going to be DTR or eventually to Snoop, but whatever it ends up being, the reality is you have a ton of quarterback experience and talent, and so you're going to get really competent football. You're going to get in and out of the huddles. You're going to know it. You're going to have the checks. You're going to audible. All of the things that are hard for some of these operations aren't going to be for this one, and that's going to make for an enjoyable game.
Just flip it around. So Jordan Love is not going to play much.
No.
I can't imagine. So then they're going to turn it over to Sean Clifford, and I'm sure Buckeye fans and people listening right now are familiar with Sean Clifford from his time at Penn State where he was.
Cincy St. X kid. He was a St. X kid. Out of high school, out of St. X.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
All I do know is he played there for a long time, 51 games. He holds the Penn State records for completion percentage, completions, yards, total yards, passing touchdowns, and wins. He won 32 games there. He's top 5 in Big Ten history in passing yards and passing touchdowns, but he's thrown 1 pass in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then they're going to turn it over to Michael Pratt, who was their 7th rounder, who out of Tulane. And he's the first Tulane quarterback to be drafted since J.P. Losman.
J.P. Losman, who was a UCLA originally, and then Bob Toledo got fired at UCLA, went to Tulane, and took him with him.
And was a first-round pick of the Buffalo Bills in the year 2004.
I thought you were going to go Sean Hill. I forgot about a J.P. Losman.
J.P. Losman, yeah.
So
there you go. So
I
I'm
like
just saying,
Tulane. I like those colors. I like that operation.
Yeah.
I think you could always set like a John Grisham novel at Tulane, and it wins. So, yeah.
The green wave.
The green wave with they got a little bit of light blue in there, a little
There's
bit of light blue with a couple of shades of green. Yeah, it's nice.
There should be
it's
some
very
blue
nice.
in there.
Have you? We got a bunch of stuff to get to around.
Also, we have a
world.
news announcement to make.
Now or later?
Let's do it later so we can bring in the luminaries.
All right. We have reached the point in the Olympics where we've just made up sports. So last night I saw 2 guys go up to a climbing wall and just climb it as if they were a cat, and it's a sport. Like that's an Olympic sport.
Yeah. Competitive climbing is a big deal.
Climbing. No, it's like on a rock wall.
Yeah,
and they just raced up
to the top.
You say it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
You sure?
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw it? Before last night?
I know that my buddy's son is a competitive rock climber.
I feel like I know you pretty well. This is the first time I've ever heard you say anything of the such.
Okay,
I've never seen it.
It feels niche, but it is a lot of the stuff is niche.
Okay, that's the word I needed was niche. So now,
I mean, you got a dude from Turkey walking out to be like, "Bam," and that's an Olympic sport.
I know it. That's what I mean. They're just making stuff up. So now I see they're breakdancing right now.
They're breakdancing.
That is not an Olympic sport.
I say less sports that require judging and more sports that, at least the rock climbing, you're starting at the ground, and whoever gets to the top first wins. I get it.
There is going to be a time probably in the summer, where I will break this out. I'm not trained on it the way that I used to be, but it was a fantastic bar conversation of what is a sport and what is not. But I'll save that for the summer of 2025, provided I'm still here. There you go. So we got a big announcement.
Number one, you will be here.
You got a
number
big
two.
I can't believe. I mean, I'm really shocked I'm here now. To be honest,
we won't do it on a Friday.
I did not think I would still be here.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Our affection.
Well,
and the joy that we have together is too much to just walk away from. By the way, it's a fun team. Your boys are loving it.
Yeah. Oh my God, we did so. Bootsy's first practice last night. Little guy's flag. We did.
And you're coaching?
I'm assistant. But I mean, I'm not going to be able to be there much because NBC's games and stuff. So I'll help my buddy DL when I can. So last night was the first practice. Absolute deluge. Had to swim out of the place. It was ridiculous. But before that, we got practicing, and Coach had him. Please, are you kidding me with this?
Is that swag? What's he in?
He looks like Tom Cruise. I mean, he's got, except much more taller and physically fit. He is in a white untucked dress shirt, one button undone, a jean, and a white sneaker.
Of course,
it's like he's in the Firm.
Of course, he is. He's really
loping around Memphis. He is
really elevated his game. So I saw him from afar, not that far away, but I saw him from afar at SummerSlam, and called him so that I could get him. And Miss K was like, "That's a big. It's good that he answered, because that would have been like a harsh. Watch him look at him, be like, yeah, no thanks or whatever." He's like, dang, I should have done that, and then just called you back. And I was like, yeah, that would actually have been pretty fun.
Been funny if he just looked at it and smiled. I'm out.
Yeah. But he was one of he was the sharpest dressed guy there. Oh, there he is.
That's the man right there. Another one. All the luminaries are everywhere.
Look at that stride today.
So we had
purposeful.
We had 9 kids. They had to say their name and their favorite team.
Okay.
I got a Chiefs. I got a Bengals. I got a Rams. And then the rest were Browns. There were some that went Buckeyes. Mr. Zagura.
2 questions. Number 1.
Yeah.
I know you're the assistant to DL Hewley, but do you have cut authority?
I don't. I would cut him.
I would have cut the Bengals kid immediately.
It's out.
Goodbye.
Now his dad's head coach and grew up in Cincinnati, so that's where that comes from. Still, you're raising Bengals fans. Come on, what are we doing?
This is DL's kid?
Yeah, it's DL's kid. Great kid. Love
DL
kid.
might have to go.
DL may have to go. You may have to bounce him. You may have to go. What am I doing on this staff?
What are you doing on this? Is like us working for Harbaugh.
Do we hate the Bengals as much as we hate the Steelers?
No. But we're here.
Still.
We're pro Browns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I know you go. We're pro Browns. Yeah, I know.
If you didn't have cut authority,
yeah,
there's a part of me that I know this didn't happen, and you're probably going to kick yourself that you didn't. But that would have been a perfect time for you to bust out to the hey, come on. When he said Bengals, come on, Bootsy, come on.
Yeah. So all of them did it. So then Bootsy went last. So then he says his name, and then he goes Buckeyes and Browns. And there you go. That's it. That's how you do.
I love this kid.
He's
my spirit animal.
I'll tell you what. I made him run last night because they weren't. So one of the rules. I have several rules, but one of them is once you get water, you run back to huddle. Like we're not walking. We don't have time to walk. We run back to huddle.
There's no loafs.
So these kids are all walking. So I make them run a lap. And
you know who walks? Joe Burrow walks a lot.
Sure. So they take off running. Bootsy comes back as if he hasn't run all summer. Like he's gassed. I go, dude, better do some. We got to get some little sprinting in this morning. So then this morning, to his credit, this was early, around probably 8:20. He laced up the cleats. He's like, I'm going to go do some running. And go, okay. Get out there, buddy.
You got to tell him that when you're playing Fortnite and your character's running, it actually has no
impact,
no health benefit to you.
None. 0. All right, we got major announcements. We'll go around the sports world. You got Alex Wright with Gibbe?
Alex Wright with Gibbe. By the way, Gibbe had a dynamite one-on-one with Landers yesterday. Asked some real good questions, some great follow-ups. I was enthralled, and there is a movement that he will now be the official interviewer of the Kevin Stefanski Show.
Oh, I love the sound of this. Spread your wings, Gibbe. Spread your wings.
Gibbe, let the world enjoy you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a mailbag coming up as well. I mean, come on.
Come on.
What do you want?
Hey.
Everything you need.
Come on.
Those are your hot topics of the day, presented by University Hospital's official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The preferred provider of copiers and document service for your Cleveland Browns. Tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Big L luminaries.
Monster L's.
Great friends of the program.
That's right.
Great friends of the program and of our country.
That's right.
And the world at large.
Yes.
Mr. Bodley, good to see you. Mr. Previtz as well here. I don't even know. You guys, I have no prep on this. I love seeing
Lieutenant
them.
Commander Previtz.
Yeah,
Former Secretary of the Navy.
I blew, well,
Tom Modley.
I did this with Teller the other day.
Yeah,
When you're a great friend of the program, I sometimes
it's more
get a little
casual,
too
but we got to
casual.
let the people out
people
there
know. Yeah,
let the people know.
So
but
I don't know what other than I love seeing them. This
I'll-
is lovely. We love this, and
it's
it's always great seeing you guys.
I'm gonna let Previtz share the news with the world that I'm very excited about.
So a few months back, I think Nathan and I were talking about, and this is post Top Gun Maverick. We were
Yes.
having a discussion about bucket lists, right, and things that were on bucket lists, and the ability to go to certain events, right, or to experience certain things that money can't buy, right. And there was an opportunity, a very small window, for Nathan to jump through to try and be on the list for consideration for one of the bucket list activities.
Oh, I know what this
And
is.
so yesterday he received a phone call,
An email,
an email, yes, an email from the folks, and the Blue Angels, the Flight Demonstration Squadron for the U.S. Navy, selected Nathan to go for a rear seat ride at the air show coming up this summer. So he'll be flying with number 7, right? Which
Let's go, baby! I'm very excited and also nervous. But very excited. Oh my God, I'm so thrilled. This is a dream come true.
I think you've lived it once, right?
Yeah.
It was
you've
like
done it.
22
Okay.
Local television in Billings, Montana.
That was
And
in Montana.
yeah.
Yes.
The video exists somewhere.
Yeah, I got to bring my card. I already ordered one off of Amazon so I could get my my cockpit flight recording.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
would
very
say that's
excited.
the,
So thank you
biggest-
to you and to the Blue Angels. I'm very excited about
The
this.
story that you told, which was so authentic about how this has been a lifelong dream of you. I mean, you built models, you watched the I mean, that I think that resonates because you will appreciate what this means to go up with them and see it from that vantage point.
Well, as a kid, I mean, Top Gun was my favorite movie. I wore the VHS out, and for Halloween was Maverick. I had gotten the patches. My dad had one of his students who ended up flying. It was in the Air Force, so it was an Air Force jumpsuit, but we turned it into a Top Gun jumpsuit very quickly, and that was basically my Halloween costume for a good 5 years.
That's
straight.
right. That's right.
Yeah, I wanted to be a naval aviator.
We all did.
But yeah,
If you're our age, we all did.
it was a fairly effective
timed
recruiting
out-
tool, it turned out, for
out
the
it worked
United
out
States
pretty good.
Navy. Yeah.
I just am thinking to myself, like, usually they say, you think of like a young kid, you think a kid's dreams come true. So in one summer, you wrestled
That's right.
with Jeff Jarrett, and now you're going up with the Blue Angels.
Yeah. And I won
Dreams
an
come
Emmy.
true
I'm just
in the
I'm
40s.
following your footsteps.
Well, I haven't wrestled yet, nor will I
no,
ever.
no.
But no, this is the
I'm
summer
very
of Nate.
excited. Summer of George. Summer of George, baby. So I'm very excited. So obviously the air show's coming Labor Day weekend as it always does. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, I get to go up. I think that's the Tuesday prior to the air show. So the 26th. So Gibbe, I'm going to need the 26th off of August. I will be otherwise disposed. Gibbe, I'm taking the Tuesday.
What time is the do we have any idea what time it is?
I'm there at 11-ish in the morning, and I think I'll be in the air around 1:30.
Can we have him mic'd up during CBD?
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be covered. I know that Ricky wants to cover it.
26th is on Monday.
Then the next day.
I think you
Then the
have to-
27th.
I'll give you the 27th.
27th it is then. Yeah.
27th.
Yeah.
All right.
I can look like the email, but yes, it's in that range. I
Oh,
think it's a
this'll be
Tuesday.
fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty juiced. Modes shared with me his a snippet of his ride, and basically they got him up again. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna level off at 100 feet, and then the next thing you know, it's like, and he's just cool as a cucumber, sitting back there chewing gum, like the door's just like, and then he looks at it, he's like, that was pretty cool. I was like, unbelievable. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be that calm at all. He wasn't making sounds. I think I'm gonna be screaming. Yeah.
No, that's very exciting.
I'm very excited.
This will be fun.
Yeah.
This will be very fun.
Yeah. So
That's great
thank
stuff.
you guys
Yeah.
very, very much. And obviously, Prev's there in the USS Cleveland Foundation. And we're trying to put something together when we're down in Jacksonville. That's where the crew is right now. So seeing if we can do something like that.
That's awesome. Always great to see both of you.
Great seeing
Yes.
you.
Great seeing you guys, as always.
Happy to be a part of the Summer of Nate.
Oh,
It is. It really is.
It's
Truly
an
is.
honor. It is. It is.
Truly is. All right, we'll take a quick time out. We'll go around the sports world coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. That was really cool, man. Very cool. Always great seeing those guys, and that'll be a lot of fun for you on the 27th. I don't think you're up.
Oh, well, that's because I have my thing, and there we go. I am so pumped.
Yep.
It's
bucket, man.
Yeah. I mean,
bucket of bucket. That's the thing.
Do you remember your ride at all?
I remember the ride, but I don't remember. I was telling those guys off air. The main anchor. I was like 22 at that. I was in Billings, Montana. The main anchor couldn't do it. I don't remember what happened, but it was
last
short
second.
notice. It was last minute. Yeah, it was like they needed
Hey,
to find
you do
somebody. You're the sports director. You go do it.
You're like, cool.
So all right. So I just went and did it, and I don't remember like you're having all of this. Like you obviously had this stuff to lead into it. Are you qualified for it? Are you worthy
I had to
of
go
it?
to the doctor.
All of it. I don't
checked.
remember doing any of that. I didn't do any of that. And then we did it, and that was it. And it was kind of like okay, and so it was as thrilling as can be. They are the coolest dudes ever. These guys, the Blue Angels
elite.
pilots, they're as elite as can be. It's as much fun as you're going to have. And I remember thinking afterwards, well, I'll never view roller coasters the same. It was kind of the way too. It was kind of like, well, anytime a kid's like, well, do you want to ride? Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, this is nothing.
Baby stuff.
I do want, and I hope that there's somebody out there in our lifetimes, and I feel like this will be a real thing in the future, but I hope that somebody is able to invent some way to access within our core memories, like the ability to relive very special moments in your life through your own eyes again. Because I think that would be awesome. Like there are a lot of things that I've done in my life that I would like to relive through my own eyes again. And I imagine that this would be one of them for you.
Among many others.
Among many others. A great many others.
Great many others.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a little. I think that feels like that could be a lot to take in, but no, I do think that'd be pretty great if you could pick like the best stuff.
Yeah.
Give me that. I'll take that day again.
Absolutely.
Let's run that back.
Yeah.
I like it. I bet that happens in our life. I bet it happens in our kids' life.
Definitely, and I think our kids' lives.
Yeah, they're close.
And then I think it's going to be a problem for society because people aren't going to want to live in real life anymore. They're going to live in their memories.
Speaking of a problem for society, Team USA went. Were you watching this live by chance?
Yeah.
So was I.
We watched it right here. We had a watch party. It was like we were back at the Greenbrier.
So this is the argument that I'm going to make. This is an example of social media being incredibly good, and the X Twitter platform being my favorite of the platforms because it's a real live timeline of what's going on right now, especially if you're in the following versus the For You, which is a bizarre world. But if you go to the following,
My For You is
nuts. I don't know if anybody's. Anytime I get into it, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
What
and I
is all
make the
this?
mistake because sometimes things are so weird that I click on them and then that just
Well, they push you to it too.
But
Like if
gets
you log
more.
off and log back in, they pop you right into that For You, and that's
Oh,
terrifying.
always right in the For You.
And it's not anything that I want.
It's really not for me.
Not for me at all. You don't know me at all.
I would argue that Instagram knows me much better.
Instagram knows me better than my wife. The true?
Probably.
Fair?
Fair. Not
right.
unfair.
No. So because when I got home, I opened up the X platform and just seeing what was going on, and I saw USA down 11 in the third quarter, and so I know it's Joker. All right, okay, this is going to be a team that's put together with the idea of putting together a team. It's the best player on the planet facilitating it. I know they can shoot for sure. Mm-hmm. And then we went and watched, and so then we watch, and then I see like at the end of the third, we cut it to 6, and Kerr pulls everybody. And we go with that other group, and 6 goes to 13 in a second. Lead as much as 17. And then in the fourth, it's 39-year-old LeBron James, 36-year-old Steph Curry, and 35-year-old Kevin Durant. Embiid had a couple of big buckets, but his time was almost a wash because he gave up the offensive rebounds on 3
also did
straight
some things that were
He had
terrible.
one job, Gibbe. LeBron's guarding Joker.
I was screaming.
So was I.
In
Oh,
here,
he was
I'm
so
like,
mad.
stop switching.
Yes.
Stop. What do
We
you
can't switch
what
with
do you
Devin
do?
Booker.
He switched 4 straight times.
Yeah.
With Booker.
Well, and
on
even
Jokic.
LeBron guarded Jokic for like probably a 5-minute period, and Joel's job was just to be help side and to help on that. And his guy got 3 straight offensive rebounds, and I'm going. So he had some big buckets at the other end that kind of made his play a wash, but I thought he was largely
The only reason
detrimental
why
other
they
than his
beat
size.
Serbia the first time was they benched him.
Yeah. It
when
was
he went
crazy.
to the bench, because asked Jim and Nathan, I was screaming at the TV
Yeah.
that day
Oh, yeah,
about it. I'm
Embiid
like,
is
why
not
is this
like
guy in the game?
Embiid.
He can't stop anybody.
No.
I am a little flummoxed by the rotations that Steve Kerr is using. I saw some things on X that were insinuating maybe a double agent. Because it
did
takes
make
him a
sense to
while to
me.
put his best players together on the floor. I still think it's crazy that Tatum's not playing. Tatum would have been a much more natural guy to have on the floor at that point, because if you were going to be switching that stuff, at least he's 6'10".
6'9", whatever he is, yeah.
It just
When he switched out and it was Durant, Anthony Davis. First of all, Durant not playing with LeBron and Steph for all of it is nuts. But then he switched out, so it was Durant, Anthony Davis. It was Bam Adebayo. It was Derek White, and it was Anthony Edwards, and Jason Tatum can't play. And I'm going, really?
we sure about that?
He's not in this mix? Like, give me the big guy.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Give me some Tatum.
And then LeBron put him on his shoulders. Durant.
Well,
it's funny, they went to Durant when they start Curry at one point. Curry was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You lose by 20 without Curry.
Yep.
But Curry was pointing to Durant in the last couple of minutes, like, go there, and LeBron got it to him. Those three guys are – well, that was crazy.
Well,
though,
they
at
should be
their
on
age.
the field the majority of on the
They
court the
are,
majority of the
but
time together.
The fact that it took 36 from Steph in an Olympic game for us to get to the final tells you two things. The rest of the world has come a long ways, is primarily what it tells you. And the other thing is we don't really put together a team to play basketball. We try to pick the best players, and they tried with
But they
Holiday
were
and
acting
White.
like they weren't, though, by having Holiday and White.
I
and
agree.
Bam on the team.
Yeah, but like you don't need all those guys. You don't. You need length and you need
You
spacers.
need Tatum and
shooters.
Jaylen Brown, and they should be
Yeah.
on the court.
Yeah.
Booker plays a lot more than I would expect him
I
to
give him a
play.
lot of credit because he doesn't have – this is a guy who scored 70 in an NBA game, and basically he's just a bird dog defender.
Yeah.
That's all he does.
And at the end of the game, he was wide open for a three, and they looked at him and did not give him the ball.
He didn't take it either. He was wide open for a three up at the top, and he kicked it to LeBron, who kicked it to the corner for a three. It's like he wasn't going to shoot. He's like, no, I'm just going to play defense. And he did a good job. Like, he bird dogged their point guards the whole way.
Bogdanovich
It was thrilling,
good,
though.
But when he did the Carmelo, have you seen the edit
Yes.
where they've gone through and then it's all these old LeBron and Melo clips and hugging and this, that? It was a well done edit.
It was.
That's the best of X there.
Yes, it was. It was awesome. It was thrilling to watch. I was glued to it.
It mattered to Steph and LeBron a great deal.
You think they don't know that this is their last Olympics?
A
You think
great
they want
deal.
that
No.
loss? I mean,
No.
LeBron was there in 2004 when we lost a bunch, but it's been a long time since the U.S. has lost a basketball game.
Jokic also, I think that just goes and further cements like how he is so singular in his greatness.
Well,
Think about all the baskets he scored, but then how, because of him, how open everybody else was. Like,
they ran the same play the whole second half, which was a high pick and roll with him. They would get him in a mismatch. You'd have to double. He'd find the open guy, and they'd score.
yeah.
Or not. Honestly, if Serbia missed a ton of wide open shots late,
Well, they got a little tight.
little tight. Yeah, it's fun rooting for Steph. Like, you
This
just
is
like,
first and only Olympics too.
oh, I didn't realize he'd
Yeah,
never
he
played
was-
in an
Yeah,
Olympic
This is-
game.
this
He
is
was
his
so
first
fired up.
Olympics, and he said it was going to be his last.
Yeah, he's done. He's 36. He's not
How are these guys not going to? Come on, LeBron's what is he, 40?
39.
And when he wants to take over and just beast
Yeah.
mode, he does.
It's crazy. It does, like, for the next generation, there's probably some cause for concern. The way the rest of the world's come a long way in 30 years.
I also think, and I think Steve Kerr's a great basketball coach. I don't know if it just is. The patterns are very odd to me.
I think the subbing is really strange. Now, I haven't watched all the games. I don't know what he's doing every game, but like when I watched
this was the big game.
we
This-
worked so hard to get it to 6, and then to give it all back in a minute and a half with that second group in. I didn't understand. I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
I don't know why White's out there instead of Tatum.
I don't either. Man.
I don't get it either.
I guess it must be because he replaced Holiday, and they're both basically like defensive first-minded is kind of what I'm guessing they're on the team for. But I don't understand Tatum not. I don't understand Tatum not playing. I think
Tatum's
that's
the
crazy.
best player on the NBA champions.
Yeah,
And if he's 1A is Jaylen Brown, who's not on this team.
I feel like he could defend
course he
And
could.
He's a great defensive player. There's no reason he couldn't guard anybody on any switch, and his size would be beneficial. So I think he's more valuable in international play than Anthony Edwards would be. He's a
And I
better
like
shooter.
him, man.
I
Yes,
like
definitely.
him too, but Tatum's a better shooter than him.
Well,
He's kind of just a 2 inches shorter Durant,
yes.
right? Which this brings us full circle. I mentioned the X and the Twitter. Let's finish there on this particular topic. So apparently some guy in Denver was like, he didn't even tag Durant in it.
He doesn't need to, dude. Doesn't
I know,
need
but
to.
like, think about this. Doesn't tag him in it. He just says that's a country of 6 million people. They played hard. It's a guy who covers the Nuggets. Durant finds this on social.
Quote tweets it.
This is the best offensive basketball player of my lifetime. I think Kevin Durant is the most unstoppable offensive force of my lifetime playing basketball. He's 6'11". I don't think that anyone can guard him, right? And this dude is on Twitter at 5 o'clock in the morning in Paris, scrolling. See, I told you. Look at.
Oh,
Told
baby.
you. What'd I tell you?
Oh, baby.
I told you. He's headed to the Naval Yard.
That's what happens.
He's in Annapolis.
That's what happens when you are directly responsible for releasing perhaps the most significant letter that's been released in a great many moons. And
He's got the pontoon boat waiting,
oh goodness, he's
the
at
Clipper,
CIC.
whatever he
He's at
needs.
the CIC.
He's living his. Look at that guy. But anyway, on Durant,
Yeah, it's unreal, dude. That made it onto my. That's the best thing that ever happened to my For You. That actually showed up on my For You.
if you are somebody who is questioning if your kid should have social media, this is one of the most accomplished basketball players, athletes of the last 25 years, and it screws with him. He seeks it out. So the answer is no, your kids shouldn't. They're not ready for it.
Just to give context to
It's
that. And it
crazy.
wasn't, by the way, it wasn't just.
He wasn't tagged. It wasn't even about USA. It didn't tag
None of them
USA
were.
Basketball.
He
sought it out.
Did you only see one of them, or did you
No,
see
he had
three?
like 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah. So one is to Mike Smith, who has 700 followers.
Kevin Durant is allowing this guy into his headspace.
Mike Smith, all he said was, cheering against Team USA, you mean like all of those Americans who are making fun of Noah Lyles not winning the gold, good old double standards. Just admit the fact you hate that Jokic is clearly the best player in the world. This was not, to my knowledge. So it started with somebody from Serbia. Durant said, where are you from? And the guy said he was from America. Durant then comes back at this guy. To all you Nuggets fans, nobody gives a beep who y'all lames believe is the best player in the league. Players got mad respect for joke. We don't worship him like you do, but most are in all of his brilliance, which is nice. Trolling you cornballs for rooting against us is a part of the game. Deal with it. Then another guy. We learned a lot about U.S. sports culture today. A lot of flexing for only beating a nation of 6.6 million in a sport they invented, acting like Jokic fans are committing treason. And then he goes and crushes this dude. And then another guy comes back and says something else that you think people weren't worshiping MJ or Bird or being divisive then. I hate to be that guy, but it only seems like it's a problem now that guys like Giannis and Jokic are getting the same treatment. Durant, you're a clown, basically. It's unbelievable.
But he's
and then
letting
he
them
goes,
have access.
Then he says, this is the most ironic part of it. He said, this is a brotherhood, fam. You're not a part of it. It's a problem now because social media got you clowns walking around with your chest out like you mean something. You don't. Your takes don't matter. Kevin, you responded to me, Wes, who has 1,000 followers on Twitter, Kevin Durant, who has
however many million.
21 million. You have made my take matter by responding to it.
You just validated me.
Right.
I win. I'm in your head.
It's like people.
Why do I have access to your head, Kevin? Because you allow for it and seek it
If
out.
you say
It's
you're
crazy.
an alpha male, you're not an alpha male.
That's exactly right. Does your furry
It's
friend?
my head because I love you guys.
Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more from from Milkbone rather, at your local grocer and pet supply store. Gibbe with Alex Wright coming up in the second hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
back here on Cleveland Browns Daily. Happy to be joined by third-year defensive end Alex Wright. And Alex, we were just talking about it. It goes fast, and it goes in the blink of an eye. Third year already.
Man, it's like I still remember the days where I first, came up here, like fresh out the draft, media day, all that stuff. Like when they say life hits you fast in the blink of an eye, man, they're not lying. They're not lying. It goes by fast, but I'm blessed to still be here. So I have no regrets. I have no complaints. Just blessed and happy to be here.
And we are happy to have you here. Year 3 for you. You finally get a chance to enjoy a couple off seasons. Did you do anything fun this off season? Any big trips? Anything?
No big trips, surprisingly. I mean, I got the chance to host my family reunion in Atlanta, so that was a big thing. I guess for like our generation, because the adults that was before us, they're getting older, so it's time for one of us to step up. And but no big trips. I'm just saving, trying to put my house together. Just trying to take one day at a time, especially in the life outside of football. Just trying to establish a family and stuff like that. With dogs. Like immediate. It's just like outer life. Outside of football. But other than that, it's just I take a mental break, a mental reset. And just get ready to come back to football because we all know it's long. Those games and throughout the season, it gets very hectic sometimes. But other than that, it's like I'm just one day at a time. I don't rush anything.
So that's funny that you say that because, for 5 or 6 months out of the year, it's nonstop. We're out of this building. Like, this is my home. And then the rest of the year, like, okay, what's the honey-do list? What do I got to do with the house? What do I got to do with the dogs, the kids, everything like that? How many dogs you got?
Two. I got Nova, who's a cane corso, and then I just got Nico, who is a XL bully. And when I say he is a menace, he's still in that biting phase where if I leave something around, he may get a hold of it, but he's a joyful. Like just yesterday, he keeps me on my toes, just outside, just running after him and stuff like that, and just letting them be free and just the way they interact with each other. That's like his big sister. He doesn't go anywhere without her, and she follows behind me. So when you see me, you see her. You see her, you see him. So it's just like we all just be in our own world, just having good vibes around the house and outside of it. So
Talking with third-year defensive end Alex Wright. All right. Year 2 in the Jim Schwartz defense. A little easier with it being a second year and already having the base of that defense down?
Of course. I mean, like, it's the same thing as when he first came in last year. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it, not unique, but just very, very fundamental, as in, like, just going, we have techniques here and there, but just the attack play style of it just makes it so much easier and just so much comfortable to, just get off the ball, go rush the passer, clotheslines and stuff like that. Just different techniques, and it's just like it's practical. It's just like shooting a ball, shooting 1,000 shots a day. It's like, you just perfecting your craft as a defensive end in the attack system. So, I mean, it's so much better. I feel so much comfortable going into this year, and instead of just learning, the techniques of it last year, like I already know what to do and stuff like that. So it's a comfortability level that's just, just keeps getting higher and higher.
How much fun is it to run it back? It's rare, I think, at the NFL level that you can run back an entire defensive line, but it's pretty close to being back in its entirety. You've added a couple new pieces and parts as well, but how exciting is it that the band's all together basically?
It's just like it's like a big family, man. It's like you don't want to see anybody go, you don't want to see anybody leave, but just the fact that you can still have those vets around, and we are a vetted group. I mean, I still consider myself the young little bro that compared to Miles and Z and Dalvin and Shell and all those. It's like you got to keep that fountain of youth around. You can't have just any older type vet. But other than that, it's like we are all family, man. It's like we always together when we outside of the building. Just having fun and just talking about life and just talking about the kids, just talking about just family, and it's just being from different parts of the country. Everybody has their own unique style of nationalities and stuff like. But other than that, like when I say the group is so much fun when we're rushing together, and just being happy with each other and just cordial with each other, it's like a crazy feeling. Like I wish it could be like that for like people really don't understand how close our group is. Like it's very, very close.
So Jim Schwartz, year 3, but a new defensive line coach in Jacques Césaire. The energy and enthusiasm and excitement he brings when we've sat down and talked to him, I can't imagine what that's like in the defensive line room and what it translates out on the practice field. What's it been like with him in year 1?
I mean, it's like I told other people, it's just like he's like you said, the energetic guy. He's that motivation person that you would go to. Just me and him talking, just when we have our little spurts and stuff throughout practice, it's just like, just make sure you do this, make sure you don't forget this. He told me something during one practice, just think at it as oh, it's not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. And it's like it's building that standard to where I got to be the best person that I got to be, and it's just little stuff like that. He's coaching everybody, but he coaches everybody like a little different, but it's also coming from the same energy, the same it's like the same. I can't think of it. It's like the push. Like he's coaching people different because we all play different positions. We all have certain different techniques when it comes to rushing the passer. But when I say he pushes us, it's like he wants us to be great. It's not about just him. That's the main thing he says. It's about y'all. It's about I'm just here to help y'all. Get paid, get sacks, get TFLs. I'm here to help y'all. So it's like just hearing that and him say it on a repeated basis, just like, and how close he interacts with everybody individually, not just all together. It's just like, yeah, this is a coach that I want to have, like for sure. And then a coach that's very detailed, and stuff. And every time I have a question, he always has an answer. And whether that's pass rushing, whether that's technique, get off, stands, like anything that prefers to D-line's perspective, like he's like my dictionary, So it's just like it's like I could go to him for anything, and like I said, just to get that push and just to be, get the dog out of me when it's on game day. He's the guy, and he does what he needs to, and it works every time.
Talking with Alex Wright, they're your defensive end, and that's awesome. First and foremost, I mean that's awesome to hear with Jacques Césaire, and that's a lot of guys. Gerard, who's at the table next to us here for 850, won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots, and he always talked about, I just want to be coached. That's it. Like I want someone to push me. I want someone to bring out the best in me, and I feel like that from what you're saying, Césaire does that.
Oh, of course, 100%, and it's not, and it's like. There's days where, of course, people have that feeling like, yeah, we got to get up and go again and stuff like that, where it's just like, oh, it's one of those days. It's like, no, he comes every day bringing the juice, bringing that energy, bringing, and it just makes you, it's contagious. So it's like, I want to be able to get up and just, just go, have something to play for, and like he reminds us, this is a why. Like, what's your why? Why are you out here? Why are you doing this? What's the purpose of you being here and stuff like that? So it's just like for him to be the type of guy to, just be that motivation to have your life be better in the long run is just like you can't ask for nothing better.
Year 3 goals, personal goals.
Simple, be better than I was last year.
Well, you made a hell of a jump from year 1 to year 2, and rooting for you from year 2 to year 3, man. We're excited. Every time you come into the game, I feel like you give us a big boost of energy. I think your play reflects that. I know, on the radio broadcast, we get super excited when you make a play, and I know that we're pulling for you this year. I wish you all the best of luck and appreciate the time, man.
No, for sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I mean, like I said, just can't wait to get on the field, just continue to make a name for myself and just stay consistent, and just push my teammates and be the best so we can all be the best. Just be that Energizer bunny, just be that person where it's, contagious for everybody. If I could get people going, then they could get people going, and then now everybody is like, why is Cleveland Browns just celebrating all over the place? So I'm thankful. So.
All right, real quick, one last one because I forgot. Sack dance. Do we have one? Do we have one figured out for this year?
I peep what people been saying, and I don't know why they want me to do the wrestlers dance. I don't know why, but no comment. I have to get back to y'all on that.
Alex, thanks for the time, man.
For sure. Thank you.
Oh, that's great stuff.
He's got to do it.
He's got to. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, little mailbag coming up next. Wayne Larrabee of the Green Bay Packers. After that, you listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elkin Oaks Serious Lawyers, Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elkin Oaks, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a quick mailbag Friday, presented by the Cross Country Mortgage Company, official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they're always going to get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, Mark Bishop, how did Z and Mike the Miz get to become friends? They're from two different parts of the country.
We are. Ironically, I was born in California and then have lived in Ohio, and he was born in Ohio and now lives in California.
Right.
But we met at a SummerSlam party in Los Angeles and kind of hit it off, and he also kind of blew me off, which was hilarious because it was very on brand for him at the time. And then I was doing the show with Ashton and TJ Jefferson, who is now working on the Rich Eisen show. The great TJ was friends with John Piermarini, and John Piermarini at that time was a writer for the WWE. And he and I became good friends, and we hit it off, and I had guys that I liked, and I'd give them some ideas, and all of a sudden some of the things that he and I had talked about would end up on TV, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Come to Vegas for New Year's." He's like, "We're doing New Year's with Miz and Morrison." I'm like, "Yeah." So we go to Vegas, and we basically ended up hanging out that whole weekend, and Mike and I became very good friends that weekend, and then that right after that New Year's, that was leading into WrestleMania 27 when he main evented against John Cena with The Rock as special guest referee as the champion. So he was the champion at the time. We have one of the first pictures we ever have of us is in his hotel room. He's all dressed out in a suit, holding the belt between us, and it was hilarious.
That's cool.
But yeah, so then we've been great friends ever since. And at that WrestleMania, that's when I met the Monacos and met all of his boys, who have become friends for a very long time now. And that was WrestleMania 27. So I think we're on WrestleMania 40 something.
Yeah. It's been a minute, brother.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
If you had a light, you'd know you weren't on.
He's got it. Hold on.
Come on.
Gonna beat that
Come
horse
on.
dead. Mr. Ed's already been dead.
It's so fun. No,
so
we're
much
having
fun.
a great time.
Although
On
the
every
best
level,
part
made it
is
for months.
You screwed up earlier, and we put a new damn box in there for you. You still didn't know it was on.
Connor with a K.
Connor with the K did that. Yeah, and
Gibby, hold on. Did you just try to take credit?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
We put a new box in there. You fought the box at every
forever.
turn.
Still fighting the box.
To be fair, the box is great, but it's also not. It needs to be in
Oh,
your
here
line
we
of
go.
sight.
Here we go.
We
Well,
need
I don't
other
have it. I
It'll
don't
happen.
have someone holding it for me, so I can just do what I have to do and push the button right next to me.
That's right. We'll get that. We'll get it mounted.
Bishop,
next
this one
offseason.
is for you. What kind of coach would you consider Ryan Day to be? Follow me to freedom or other?
He's the Stefanski guy. Now, the hard thing is his offensive acumen is elite. His play calling's elite. His game design is elite. What's tricky for him is this year he is going from that, because that job has changed so much, to that plus fundraiser. So the current job of a college football coach is you coach the football team, you raise the money, and you have ownership of the roster. So it's kind of like if the Haslams, Paul, AB, and that group, and Kevin were all one guy. That's what a head football coach is in college football at the moment.
All right. And for Zagura, what is going to be your call sign for your flight?
I feel like that's something that they'll bestow upon me. Previtz had suggested Too Tall, like Ed Too Tall Jones, which probably makes sense.
We did
I
this
am at
one
the
of
limit. I've got to be.
You got to be right there. We had we did this once where Previtz wanted call signs for us for something, and a listener later. I don't know why I didn't think of this at the time, but suggested nightcap for me, and I said that is
great.
perfect. That's a great one. That's probably what it should have been. What did we settle on yours?
I don't remember.
There was one we settled on
that we liked.
Yeah.
I mean, Dragon. My middle name is just because of its uniqueness is always a good one.
Yeah, it wasn't Dracarys or anything like that, but there was something I remember coming up with for you that was very good, and then I do remember years later.
Could have done Call Drago instead of Call Drogo.
There you
I'd
go.
been fine with that.
Yeah, that works good.
Final one today. Love a dog today. What childhood memory do you wish you could replicate for your kids?
Well, I think, do you have a funny one? Because mine is more of on a little bit more of a somber tone. In just that, I wish that my kids could be comfortable being bored. I wish that they could just not have a screen to chase or a video game to play, and I wish that they could just go outside. We would go outside and play Cowboys and Indians. That's what we did. We would go play cops and robbers. We'd play Army. We'd play all this stuff. You'd figure it out. You'd have an imagination. You build forts, you do those things. And because there are so many things pulling at my kids' attention, and some of it's stuff that we put on them, whether it's the obligations with sports, whatever, they're not comfortable being bored. And I wish they were.
Yeah. I mean, I used to shoot on my street. We had Robert Martin, Roberto Float, the Shagaffis. We had like a crew of like 6, so we were just out there. We'd be playing basketball all day, football all day. This tree's the end zone, that tree's the end zone.
Yeah.
You had 4 plays just all day. So
I didn't have Fortnite waiting for you as a tempt. There was
No.
nothing tempting you.
Well, and if you wanted to play a video game, you either were playing a solo game or the person had to come sit in the room with you, and you were still socializing.
Here's another one. There was one TV.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting there playing Super Tecmo Bowl while Dad wants to watch the NFR.
I also wish that I like that we're going for, like, we're stripping them of their niceties. But if I wanted to talk on the phone, there was one phone in the house.
Same.
And it was in play that my father would try to quietly pick up another phone in the house to listen.
We had one phone in the house in the kitchen with a cord.
Okay, so you were no privacy.
None. I would
There was
stake it outside and try to be quiet. And if
How
I
long
would
could
talk
that
after
cord
10,
go?
as long as I stretched the hell out of it, no. Privacy.
I used to have to.
Come on.
To talk to my high school girlfriend, I did have a phone in my room, and I would call Popcorn, which would give you the time.
Yeah.
Like it's 12:01 and 15 seconds. Beep. And then just over and over. That's all it did. It just was telling you the time every 5-second intervals or whatever.
Yep.
So that way she could call me, call waiting would buzz in, so it would never ring in the house.
Oh.
So that I could then talk on the phone.
Call waiting. We didn't have no call waiting.
Call waiting, baby. That was key. We're talking high school now.
No, I know.
But you also couldn't you had to be okay with not being in communication all the time, or not having something, to your point, right? Having something at your attention all the time.
Yeah.
I loved playing all the sports I did. That was not something that my children experienced, and I wish, for them that they had it. At least I got the 1 year Artie Buckets, which was awesome. Just having goals and achieving them either individually or with a team is such a joyous thing. And now they've done that to their credit in other ways, and I'm very proud of them for that. But I think that was, that's something that I wish maybe was around a little more. It's things like, you're talking about memories, right? I got David Gray. Was that who you just read one from right there?
No, I don't think so.
No,
No?
it was not.
Okay.
We have to go to break.
Okay. Well, he had a great moment at training camp yesterday. Chubb came over. His boys got to come on the field, and he was 3 generations, him, his dad, and the kid. Like,
that's awesome.
That's the special sauce.
That's it right there. Always special when we get to talk to the legendary voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee. He joins us coming up next, Behind Enemy Lines. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Working on Wayne Larrabee joining us, voice of the Packers. In the meantime, give me your 3 things you want to see tomorrow when the Browns and the Packers mix it up down on the lake.
Yeah, well, the first thing is the new kickoff, the dynamic kickoff. And you're not going to see much scheme within the dynamic kickoff, but I'm definitely interested to see what it looks like, how it goes, because it's new, and it's going to be new for a lot of the people watching for the first time. That'll be the first time they see it because, you have to be very diehard or a avid gambler if you were to be consuming other teams' preseason content.
Yes.
So I think for a lot of people, it'll be the first time that they see that. I am excited for that. I really am excited to see Jameis Winston as a Cleveland Brown.
Yep.
See him slinging it around to Cedric Tillman and David Bell. So I think that should be a lot of fun. I'm nervously excited to watch our tackles, as I mentioned earlier in the day. And then defensively, Mike Hall has been an attention getter here, and I'm really excited to see him just kind of unleashed. I feel like he's the kind of guy that can have a preseason where he flashes some real dominance, his confidence grows, and this is something that could become a regular thing in the regular season, maybe quicker than perhaps initially expected.
You know how there's that you hear guys say you can't fool the room? Like a lot of times it'll be that when you're making a quarterback decision or whatever, and it's like you can't fool the room. The room knows who can play.
Yep.
So in the last weeks, when I hear Za'Darius compare Mike Hall to Aaron Donald, and when I see him racing Miles, I go, okay. The room knows. They know Mike Hall can play, and they know he's going to be a part of this in a very, very big way, and he's in. He's been completely embraced by the most important people on the defense.
Yes.
And so they've seen enough to know that he's a dude,
Yes.
and the room always knows first.
Yeah, you're right. And then the other thing I want to see just straight up is, some starters will play.
Yeah.
That they are in and out without incident.
Let's do the best guess on starters will play game.
Okay.
All right, let's start on the offense. Best guess, starters will play. Amari.
No.
No. Jerry Jeudy.
No. He's been
nicked a little bit.
Yeah.
Elijah.
Possibly.
Elijah's a maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
You're going to get
my
the
guess
backs.
is probably no, but possibly on Elijah.
No Foreman, but probably everybody else.
Yes, I think that's fair. Because we know Jerome Ford was asked about specifically, so that's the one person.
We know that he's going to.
And if Jerome's playing, Pierre's playing, John Kelly, the Stefanski's kid's favorite running back, is playing, and Aiden Robbins.
Yeah.
No Chief.
No Chief.
No Batonio.
No Batonio. Teller?
I would think no. But when you're putting Jameis out there, you also want him to have some protection. And so
from a starter standpoint,
Hudson will be out there for sure.
Sure. No Dewan.
I would think not, but he's also entering his second year. These guys played 10 games.
I understand, but it's how you view the preseason. Like the Rams aren't playing anybody all preseason. Kyle don't play anybody.
I think that my guess is
with our tackle position, can you really risk playing DeJuan Jones?
Yes. I think you need to have somebody out. Well, I think DeJuan will only be out there if he's out there while Jameis is out there. Same with Teller and
one
and
series
Posick.
and then get him out. All right, defensively, nobody on the defensive line.
Nope, none of the 4.
None of the linebackers.
Nope, none of your top 3.
None of the starting corners.
Denzel's
not going to play.
Denzel, no.
MJ?
You could see MJ for a little bit.
Delpit?
Could see. Just again, these are guys. Delpit in that case, coming back probably needs a little game action, and I think you could see Thornhill a little bit.
So this feels like the number 22 starters. It feels like the number's around 6-ish.
At most, counting week 1, because Deontay Foreman could very well be our week 1 starter. I think there's going to be it's a committee, but at most you have probably 3 guys on the O-line that are true starters. So that on offense it would be at most 3. And a defense, maybe you have 3 DBs. If you get your 2 safeties and MJ, that's it. I don't need to see MJ. I don't need to see
DeJuan.
I don't need to see any of these people.
I think it's really difficult. I think the NFL is wrestling with this.
Yes, I do too.
What to do? What is the right protocol? What is the old way? You knew what it was. And for the kids out there, Z and I are men. We're 40. in the old days, in the first preseason game, the starters would go a drive. You'd get a drive.
Yep.
In the second preseason game, you'd get into the second quarter, sometimes to halftime. In the third preseason game, the dress rehearsal, first half, usually at least one drive in the second. The whole thing was we wanted to see him coming out of the locker room, right? First drive out of the locker room. So you'd at least get that. Fourth one was the one where you punted. That was backups. That's the way that went. Well, then that flipped, and then nobody played in the first one at all. Like, think about the Hall of Fame game. No one's played in that for years.
No.
Nobody plays in the first one. This was when you had the 4 preseason games. Then the second one was a little more. Third was still dress rehearsal. Fourth, punt. Now in the 3, and even before we went to 3, McVay and others were like, yeah, no one's playing in the preseason. We're
Nope,
done.
nobody.
And they've replaced the preseason with these joint practices. The work you used to get in the preseason, you're now getting in these joint practices. Let me pose you this question.
Okay, pose.
Would the way to make the preseason, even if it goes to 2 games, which we all think it's going to get to, is the way to make that relevant almost like allow those games to be like the joint practices? In other words, if it's a quarter with the starters, let coaches be out there. Hey, can we run that back? Can you show us what you did there?
Do red zone. Do no hitting the
Situational.
quarterback. Do 2-minute drills. Yeah, I would love that. I think they're far more. The joint practices against the Vikings would be a far more compelling television product than the preseason game. But you also need those guys that are competing to make the 53 here or the 53 elsewhere. They got to get their opportunities.
For them, it's as valuable as can be.
I almost think you could do like, and no, now we're just talking completely hybrids of what might actually be the best is a half of situational football with the starters, and then the second half is like a traditional preseason game with the non-starters.
That I was thinking about that this morning because somebody said to me, well, do you think you could ever just broadcast the joint practices? No, I don't. I think that you need to have some structure of game. And probably the best example of the sweet spot of this is what most of these college football spring games have become.
Yep.
Whereas you're heavily protective of quarterback. You run some situational stuff with your first string guys, and then the game is kind of the backup guys play a game at the end.
Yep.
And that's kind of probably the hybrid of what this could be. If you were truly worried about the preseason product, that's probably the way that you could find the sweet spot.
Yeah, and I think it would service the fans very well because you would get to see Deshaun come and play, but you would also know he's not going to get hit. I think that would be very good work. I think it would be a compelling product. The hard part about it would be from a broadcast standpoint is that my guess is, let's say you're doing red zone, it would be Browns offense, Packers defense in one red zone, and the other red zone would be Packers offense, Browns defense at the same time.
You'd have to do them like that's something you'd have to do for TV where you'd have to do them one at a time. So it would almost be like here's a play down here, then here's a play down here, then there's a play, like stagger them.
Yeah,
would probably be the way to do it. The best example I think of what I'm talking about working is what Fox did with like the Ohio State spring game. So they had Joel Klatt on the field with Stefanski, Day in this instance, and he was calling plays while Klatt was there, describing what was happening. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you still have that second half or three quarters of a game for the backups.
Sure.
But you get that situational work first, and I still think you can create a good television product with it, which is, what all of this is. It's television shows, man.
Yeah. You're fine. Sign me up. I think it'd be curious to see how it ultimately ended up looking and what that would become. But, yeah, I do think there is something to figuring out a way to make it more than it currently is. I don't know if people would care if that it wasn't a game in the traditional sense. I don't know if people would care if it was like, all right, we're going to the stadium tonight and we're going to see Deshaun and Amari and Chief and Judy and everybody working in the red zone, and we're going to see some 2-minute drills. So I don't know.
I agree. I think the thing about it is fans have never been smarter. They've never been more aware of what's going on. You look at these games around the country, and I'm sure that we'll have a very nice crowd here on Friday, but like you watch some of this preseason stuff, it's a lot of swaths of empty seats.
Yes.
Because people are like, they know what it is.
Yeah.
Now, right? We have so many options. We talked about it with the kids. There's so many at-home options for you to take your attention. You're like, am I going to deal with all of this to watch a game that's where I'm not seeing anybody? And you can also tell it in the differences in the places that have young quarterbacks. Like if you've drafted a quarterback, like you're excited to see him for the first time. That's different too.
Yeah, then the Patriots didn't even play him for 2 seconds. Now Milton gave a highlight throw and a highlight run, which was fun. I do think that, this team, we're lucky that we have the depth that we do, so there are going to be solid players out on the field for us much longer than other teams. I mean, in fact,
what you said off the top is the best thing to make people to articulate what you're saying. When you have 4 NFL winning quarterbacks on your roster, you are going to get very competent football for 4 quarters of a preseason game, which most people don't have.
Correct. No. And in fact, what's stunning to me about looking at this Green Bay team is it's a ton of undrafted. Like, they have more undrafted players on this roster than I think I've ever seen in my life. Undrafteds and 7th-round guys just all over the place. That, like, this team in the second half is going to be strange. Don Callis, no relation to the wrestling villain, out of Troy, undrafted free agent, was mowing lawns a month ago.
Yeah,
got a call, and he's going to be playing this game. So they are a very different roster than I would say the Browns.
This is another thing that I think that you could see more of. The Minnesota Vikings are doing this. So Justin Jefferson is going to be in the television broadcast booth, or rather from the sidelines. He's going to be on a mic for the entire third quarter of their preseason game. So that's pretty cool, right?
Really
like
cool.
All of a sudden you give Justin Jefferson the thing, and now he's on the game. He's describing what he sees. That, I think the NFL just has to be a little more open-minded. The audience will tell you, and the audience isn't what it used to be for preseason games. There are ways to make it more interesting. The NFL just has to respond to that.
Well, that's what The Voice told me. He watched the Patriots feed last night of their game. And Scott Zolak, who is their color analyst on radio, did the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa, boy, buckle up there. And the McCourty twins were color analysts. And then they would go to Hoyer for Chalk Talk in the game.
Yeah, it's a different way of thinking about, look, this is the reality, whether you're the National Football League or your MLS or whatever or your fill in the NCIS, whatever I'm hoping is still on some sort of basic channel that I don't watch anymore, but I'm assuming that some form of that show is still on.
No doubt.
You're all just television shows.
Yep.
That's all it is. Okay? That's where the money is. That's where the big money is. And so you just have to make sure that product is as good as it can be, and just be open-minded in how to improve that product in an ever-changing landscape.
Agreed.
Who would you want on a mic for a quarter?
Jameis.
On our team, Jameis is the
for an entire quarter.
He'd be unreal.
would be unbelievable.
Jameis would be great.
We have a lot of guys who'd be great.
Yeah. Jameis would be, Jameis, Bitonio.
JOK would be good. Bitonio would be good.
Jordan Hicks would be good. Amari.
Hicks, yep.
No, I think so.
What I like
the Jameis personality. You got to have a personality.
So I said Jameis.
Yeah, we were looking. He's the easy one. Jameis is the easy one. But you want what I think makes
oboe.
And also, like, this notion of, like, it's got, like, I mean, Justin Jefferson's the biggest star in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it has to be a combination of star with personality.
You're right.
Like, in the old days, Jarvis would have been the answer.
Jarvis.
Like, when Jarvis was here, Jarvis would have been the answer. One of your best players and a ton of personality, really interesting to talk to. Never Jarvis leaving here was I not feel like, God, I love that dude. Just want 11 of those guys. And so that's kind of the guys that you're looking for. That's what makes the Jefferson poll cool, right? Because, like, and then you want, the other thing was, I mean, I'll tell you another guy who'd be great is Shelby. But because he loves this, he's interested in it. Za'Darius would be awesome.
Really good.
Za'Darius and Shelby would be incredible.
That'd be great.
Like, both of them
together.
would be a lot of fun. So I think those are the things that you, as partners and all of it, when you're making television shows, how can we be creative to make this cool? Because the product it's tough. Now, football nuts like us, we're consuming all of it. We're going to watch it all. We're going to look at that third quarter drive and be like, hey, what happened here on this? Is this hurt his chances to make the team? Because you're worried about all of those things. I'm fascinated to see these receivers that I've heard so much about for the last 2 weeks and haven't had a chance to see them play. I'm curious to see. I mean, Cedric Tillman is an incredible piece of clay. Like, what's that starting to mold into? Is he someone that we can count on, like those type of things? So who's the other kid who flashed down at the Greenbrier?
Matt Landers.
Let's see him go a little
Darden,
bit. Yeah.
David Bell, Thrash, who's had some nice plays, Amarian Brown, Michael Woods coming back from injury, who's got some good size, 6'1". Yeah, there's a lot of
and because of the quarterback stuff you talked about.
Chance. Yeah, I really think that we should be a pretty good preseason team because I just think I don't see a team that in the second half is going to have the level of talent on the field that we're going to have. Now, lines can derail all of that, but I'm excited to see Luke Whippler and Zach Zinner and Javion Cohen. I mean, Javion Cohen is an undrafted free agent out of the U who was not a typical undrafted free agent. Started his career at Alabama, was first team All SEC as he was on the All SEC freshman team. He was All SEC freshman, was second team All SEC before he transferred, goes to the U, doesn't allow a sack last year, but he had a little bit of a circuitous route to the National Football League in his college days and goes undrafted, but he is an incredibly talented kid. Like, when you think of an undrafted free agent, you're not typically thinking a guy that was recruited at Alabama, played for Saban, was started as a freshman and was, All SEC freshman team.
No.
So there are some talents and some good stories on here. And, from the other side, you're not going to see Jordan Love that much. And then I really don't know what the heck we're going to get after that. They went out and they signed Josh Jacobs. So their starters, if they play their starters, that's a fun team. Jacobs, Luke Musgrave, Jordan Love, the receivers. Christian Watson's in his second, was going into his third year. Jaden Reed was a rookie last year, had 793 yards and 8 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs, 674. They had another kid who was very productive last year, another young guy, Dontavian Wicks, had 581 and 4. So they have these young receivers that have been very good for them.
That division got good quick.
Very quickly.
Lions, Bears, Packers. We'll see the Vikings next week.
Yeah, and the Vikings might be.
Sounds like JJ's been pretty good.
He has been, and so has Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Runs Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, here you go. 12:30, Browns game day. Ken Carmen and Gerard on that. 2:30, the kickoff show with Andy and Tyvis. And then at 4:25, kickoff, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Jim, Gerard, and Ken on that. You and Chris Rose will be on the television side of things.
With Didi on the sidelines. News 5.
There you go. There you go, buddy. Going to be fun.
Here we go, baby.
Here we go. Do we know what we're wearing? Are we brown over orange?
I don't know what we're wearing. I know that on the TV
1 minute, 1 minute.
we will be wearing polo shirts. We'll be wearing that beautiful
That's the choice?
checkered polo shirt.
Which checkered one?
That one that's like brown and gray. It's the only Nike polo with the new logo.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I've not seen this.
Oh, I think you've seen it.
Have I?
I had it. I'm pretty sure I had it yesterday.
I'll have to look for it. All right. Well, good luck. You're going to have
you.
a ball.
I'm very excited.
It's going to be very, very fun.
I'm prepared, baby.
Look at the boards.
30.
I don't even know. I can
Color
read
coded.
them.
They're ready. I don't know
I
if I
can
could
read
either. Almost looks like one solid color. The next level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Runs Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.